Isn't that beautiful? Huh? To forget yourself is to be touched. 10,000 is just another way of saying a lot. A lot of things. Then he says, when you go out into the world, if you go into the world confirming everything that you know, this is delusion. But if you go deeply into the world and feel confirmed by the world, this is enlightenment. Do you hear the difference? To go into the world, and he's talking about the inner world and the outer world, same thing. To move through your life and to just confirm everything with what you know. This is how it's going to work. This is a great delusion. I went to pick up my son at a friend's house, and I don't know the parents very well, and they had on their fridge this timeline. Started in 2000, and I think it goes out about 50 years, and it says everything they are going to do. You know, Africa, change jobs, that was in like 6 years, buy a cottage, you know. And I looked at it and I thought, should I be doing this? You know? And then I felt sad, you know. It was a sort of reminder about the way we really love to control reality. And you can't control physical reality. It's impermanent. We all know this, you know. But the way that you can seemingly control your life is to tell stories about it. And this is healthy, really healthy. The problem is our stories get settled. And we confuse our narrative about others with them. We confuse our ideas about our body or our feelings or our past with reality. And this is Patanjali called this Sang Yoga, which is like fake yoga. It's like intimacy and drag. It kind of looks intimate, but actually it's just surface, you know.
The opinions expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of Eastlink TV, its sponsors, or partners.
Yeah. So the practice of yoga begins with a practice of ethics, and ethics not in the sense of you should do this and you shouldn't do this, but ethics as an expression of samadhi, as an expression of integration, as an expression of interdependence. If you feel in your heart, in your life, that we're interconnected, how do you show that? How do you express that? One teacher says, it's as easy as reaching back in the middle of the night for a pillow. How do you express in your body, in speech, in how you move through the world, your values of interdependence, of generosity? Because that's what you plant through your actions. So we begin our practice really looking at ethics, like nonviolence, to really commit to a practice of nonviolence, which means not having the intention to cause harm. Internally, do you hear that? Internally. When I meet new students, especially on retreats, usually the first question I ask them is, how do you feel about yourself? You know, how do you feel about yourself? Because so many of it, we jump into spiritual practice and we want to like get ahead and like something should happen, and I've heard all these stories and read all these great books by all these, you know, enlightened people in Nova Scotia. And And we forget, like, about this sometimes, you know. And actually, you know, self-judgment is the most insidious form of suffering, really. Related, I think, to the perfectionism that I talked about earlier. How do we let go of that story? Well, you can't. You can't let go of stories because they never really were yours in the first place. You don't so much let go of them as you just see. Power of being able to really see, to recognize this is judgment. This is a dead end. Or your projections on others, to be able to really see them. And then, could we do this culturally? Could you imagine this? I mean, to go to war, there has to be a really strong sense of me. You know, there has to be an enemy. You know, not just to go to war nationally, but also to go to war in ourselves, in our families, in our communities. How do we heal this? How do we see these stories and root beliefs? And this is the question that our practice raises. How do we see and how do we act? And both are important. Maybe we could even say we have a moral obligation to wake up. So we fix it back. And the practice continues. The first foundation is ethics. And then learning how to breathe, learning how to be fully in a body, through this asana practice, how to really wake up the intelligence of the body, how to be able to follow the thread of the breath, how to, as we talked about today, bond your attention, your breathing, and all the patterns of sensation and thought that arise in our practice. And the yoga postures are designed to create a kind of relational structure so that you can then have just the right proximity to everything that you can feel. That's why it's amazing that yoga is even popular, because it actually opens up the spectrum of what you can feel. Who wants to feel? You know, why would I want to feel that? You know? And then, from this place of awakened intelligence, to also learn how to really be still. And maybe this is one of the most profound practices of ethics, of nonviolence, of honesty, is to be still and be able to be with whatever a human can experience from a place of stillness. And that gives us real tools to offer others service. Because really, we're most happy when we're serving, right? I mean, aren't we most happy when we're serving others? And taking care of ourselves. Because to serve others, it's all interdependent. We have to take care of this too. And when we have the experience of being able to be fully present in our lives, it's a tool that we have. And you don't know how you're going to need to serve. How might you be asked to serve in a month with aging parents, sick kids, sick rivers, in 3 years, in 5 years? How can you serve? just like you are reaching back for a pillow in the middle of the night, that instinctually. Some of you might serve by learning how to clothe people, feed people. Some of you might serve by nursing, changing diapers, not overcommitting in an overscheduled life. Some of you might serve by learning calligraphy or poetry. Everybody is going to serve differently. Social action doesn't just mean tying yourself to trees. It happens in every moment in how you show up. Every moment counts, matters. Maybe we can remind our teenagers about this, that everything you do makes a difference. Painting your room black and listening to Nick Cave all day is your contribution. What can we do to make a difference? And I don't mean it in an idealistic sense. We don't need more ideology. This is not ideology. We don't need any more ideology. What we need is to be in touch with this breathing body that is interconnected with other breathing bodies, even the air we breathe spatially here. I exhale and you inhale. We share this breath. Right now, there's birds flying over Chocolate Lake, breathing the same stuff. Fish, also breathing the same stuff. Just to think about that, you know. I think about this whenever I take off in Toronto from the island airport. We have an airport in the island. You turn and you fly over the lake. And I always imagine that I'm breathing and so are fish down there. It helps ease the guilt of the carbon footprint, you know. And but also temporally. So the molecules you're breathing now are the same molecules that Patanjali was breathing, that your grandparents breathe, that Rachel Carson can breathe. Same molecules. It's a beautiful thing. Same molecules they're breathing right now on the coast of Japan. That's our shore also, you know. And this is the practice of yoga. This is the practice of intimacy. Through the breath, through the body, through our relational life, to create a grounded practice of immanence, of integration, of action. Of action.